Hey, Marty Norris here, and today I'm going to talk to you about a skill that you really need to develop if you want to be successful in any type of sales. And this could be for, any type of sales is really person to person, and it has to do with your listening skills. And in order to be an effective listener, you have to develop 4 skills. You have to become, not only develop these skills, but to become a good listener. And a good listener is somebody who's active. That means they're not just, when the other person is talking, they're hearing what is being said and not just planning on how they're going to respond to convince the other person. So number 1, in order to be an active listener, you need to be present. And some people say, duh. Of course you have to be present. That means you have to be present mentally, not just present physically. You can be an active listener and be listening on the phone. So to be present, that means you have to stay in the moment, and that means you also give good body language. Well, if you're talking to somebody on the phone, that means that you are acknowledging them when they're speaking by being quiet and saying things like, I understand, or asking relevant questions. And then also you're giving them their undivided attention. And that, so especially if you are face to face, then you're looking at them. You're not looking off, or you're not looking at your phone or looking at other things. Or if you have a phone, your phone actually should be put away, and you're not it's on, or if it's there, it's on silent. I would say the best thing would probably be to have it put away so you're not even looking at it. So that means you are present. Second thing is you have to be acknowledging. This is similar to being present, but if you're acknowledging, that says you have good body language, which, that's the same as being present, but also you're giving feedback and you're summarizing. That means if they're telling you something, so that means you're saying, so what you're telling me is, and like in my field, if you're in network marketing, you're saying, well, I understand that you're frustrated, that you feel like you're stuck at your salary, or you wish you had more time to be able to spend for your kids, but you need to earn a living. And so, or you're tired of your long commute. So repeat to them what they have stated or what you understand that they're saying, but not what you think they should hear. And then also there can be verbal pauses, which means there's time when people just aren't talking, you're just listening. And then also silence. That means if they're silent, that means that you're listening. It shouldn't be too long, but you don't want to be talking over them. You don't, being silent, it's not really bad, because at least you're not saying the wrong thing. And maybe if they ask you a question, then you respond. Then the third thing is you have to be accepting. That means you listen to them. If you are accepting, that means you are without judgment. It doesn't matter if deep down you don't agree with them, but in your responses, and especially if you're physically present, your verbal cues. And then also that means if you're accepting, that means you're without judgment, without prejudice, without assumptions, and you're not making statements that are judgmental. And you're not personally interpreting what they say in order to fit your own agenda. That means you listen to what they say, not your personal agenda of maybe, signing them up or having them buy your product or service. No, they have to convince themselves of it, because if it's your agenda to get them as a customer, then they won't stay as a customer and they will figure it out. So they have to convince themselves that your product or service is good for them. So be accepting. That means without judgment. And the other person is going to know that. And then the fourth thing is you have to be curious. Being curious means you're asking questions. And that means you're listening. And if you're asking the right questions, that means they know that you're just not out there for your agenda and what you can accomplish through this. That means you actually really care about their needs. And this applies in business relationships as well as personal relationships. I can tell you sometimes if my husband and I have a disagreement, it's sometimes because maybe, and it goes either way. One of us is not listening, or we want the other person says to us what they want to hear. So you have to be curious ask questions, and be interested. So remember, the more you learn to develop these 4 skills, then you will do much better in actually all your interactions and related to your job, even if it's not a sales job. But in every job, we are selling ourselves, our skills, or our talents. So I hope you found this helpful. Please make sure to comment below, and because I love to hear from you. And if on a completely different note, if you want to learn how I am building a business in the evening when I'm not at my day job, just message me and I will get back to you as soon as possible. And I hope you have a great weekend. Thank you.